bring them out.
Yep.
Well, the Lord said, then shall my hand.
No. These people ain't gonna make it. That's your lesson.
Yeah.
Because the Rothschilds, they're gonna be the most likely another country. They're gonna be in the losing country.
In
Because
America,
it said that since my hand shall take them. So you're not gonna make it.
right.
Yeah, the top
In
elite.
America,
The top elite. The Lord going to use us to, because that's the book of Psalms 149, to bind their kings with chains and their nobles with fetters of iron. How can that happen if they're dead?
right.
Hold on, it says dishonor have all the saints. Now where's the mixed multitude at? Okay.
Yeah. So how can that happen if they're dead? That means they got to be alive. They got to be nice and healthy.
That's it. And they see, because they got underground facilities here in America, because you got places where I believe they connect. You can connect the White House underground somewhere to get out of there in case anything happens to the White House.
They definitely got some shit up under the White House, up under the Oval Office. They got some shit down there in the Pentagon, man. That's the war room, you know?
But when the missiles come, they're going to devastate all of that.
Hey, El Chapo could have underground tunnels and all that stuff.
Wait a minute. The Washington Monument is what? 111 feet?
It goes down
111 feet to make 666, 600, because the above is 555 feet. Then you add 111 feet.
Some that was hiding down there.
Yeah. So you add 111 feet, that's 666, 666 feet.
Hey, because they got that, like, what is it, 75 floors down. The Pentagon goes about 75 floors down, if I'm not mistaken. Why do you think they got that? Because they're expecting something to happen, so they're trying to make provisions for themselves to be able to go hide, you know. But they doing that because the Most High set them up to do that. So, like it says, his hand can take it.
Hey, even Winston Churchill, during World War II, he had that comfortable bunker underneath London when London was getting the Blitz. He was hiding in that bunker. He had his 2 quarts of what's his name? 2 quarts of liquor. Eustace Mullins, he brought that up.
So that's going to, I mean, when that happened, that should cut off all their communication, right? And transportation. It's going to cut off all that, man. It's going to be hell, man.
Yeah, well,
it's going to be hell. Holy hell. Hot holy hell.
When the missiles are shot, there's a certain point that they get to where they call it an EMP, which is an electromagnetic pulse. Which that electromagnetic pulse will stop everything. Anything electronic, it will stop it. You know, you're driving the car, boom, the car is stopped. Speaking on the phone, you watching television, the television goes dead. You on the computer goes dead. You know?
There was a movie on that. It's a clip I watched. Well, there was a lot of movies on it. Esau makes movies about them being destroyed.
This is an Amos.
Somehow one movie.
Amos 9 and 2. Though they dig into hell, then shall mine hand take them. And though they climb up to heaven, then will I bring them down. That's what those what's some things called space Star Wars program. They have space. I forget what it's called, but it's like a community that they can live out there in space. You know, when the Yahushua comes back, you're going to destroy all of that. You know, it says, and though they hide themselves in the top of Carmel, which they have actual mountains that are carved out where they have shelter. It says, I will search and take them out thence. And though they hide from my sight in the bottom of the sea, thence will I command the serpent, and he shall bite me. Because no matter where these devils go here in America, they're not going to be able to hide. You know, these so-called nobles, you know, if they don't get out of America, those ones, generals and certain leaders that are left here on the soils of America that go into them underground bunkers, they're going to be all taken out.
This is Revelation 6, verse 16. No, some go to 15. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bondman and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne, and from the wrath of the Lamb. For the great day of his wrath is come, and who shall be able to stand?
Can I read that again?
And the Lamb will get you for the vocab alone.
Revelation 6 and 16, no, and 15. And the kings of the earth, and the great men, and the rich men.
Right, who you think that's talking about? That's talking about these elites, so-called elites. You know, but then when you tell somebody that you have a small contingency of men that are ruling the world, they'll look at you like you're crazy. These are those rich men. A rich man is not Donald Trump, Warren Buffett. You know, these so-called people that you see out there that are worth billions. Bill Gates, those are not the rich people of the earth. Those are not the so-called great men of the earth. The so-called great men of the earth are your Rockefellers, your Rothschilds, your Gettys, the Oppenheimers. People that have so much money that well, the people that have the top families that have the riches, you know, on the planet to be able to sustain. Yeah, man. You know, that's
even made him work. You know.
Yeah. You know, that's the guy that we were talking about before, the pedophile. You know he gets to the
brother.
Yeah, because when he gets to the monastery, you know, after he finished doing that demonic chant, and he goes pop little boys, man. You know,
the altar boy peon.
Yep. Oh man, you got these devils are sick. You know, but those are the rich men. You know, the elites, so-called elites of this society. You know, read that again, brother.
It says, this is Revelation 6 and 16, and the kings of the earth and the great men.
Yeah, because the presidents are not kings. You have presidents, you have premiers, you know, you have different leaders of these countries. Those are not kings. Even though they're on a small level, they are kings.
They're kings on a lower level.
Right, puppets. But the real kings, you know, on the planet Earth are the international bankers, the one that's running everything. Because those people, because see, if you're a king, you're supposed to be a sovereign. People are supposed to be under your rule. They're doing the bidding of the international bankers. So how can you really be I mean, you are a king on a low level, but you're a puppet.
That's saying gold is the currency of kings. They deal with gold. They don't deal with Federal Reserve notes. It says barter is the currency of slaves.
Check that out.
So we're slaves. They're kings.
And there's another saying, what is it, something about gold or money is something, and Rothschild is are their prophets.
Oh yeah.
Gold is God.
Gold is God.
Rothschild is prophet.
Right.
Yeah,
You know?
money's God. Rothschild is his prophet.
So basically, they're saying that these devils they got the riches of the world.
Oh, the golden rule. He who has the gold rules.
Yeah. And that's heavy.
Yeah, which is Rothschild.
That's right.
Elon Rothschild, the Rothschild family.
And it's not a coincidence that they're the ones up on top. Like the name is Rothschild, which means red child.
Yeah, red child.
You know, it's not a coincidence.
That's not even their name. They came with that
Bauer. Yeah, Bauer.
Bauer. They're going to go back to being Bauer.
Yeah, peasant.
That's so.
Go ahead,
Job 9 and 24. The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?
Yeah, and the people that have the power to do that are these international bankers. You know, because when they came into power during the beginning stages of the Renaissance, they pretty much destroyed all the real images of the Lord. You know, and they set themselves up. Why? Because really, that's heavy that their name is Power, because that goes back to Jacob and Esau. Because it said that the elder shall serve the younger. So really, the Most High made them have their name Power because they're peasants, but they're peasants that are they call it like an upstart. Upstart is somebody that came from nothing, and they got wealth, and they set themselves up as being something, and they're not.
Plus they're going to bow to Marshall, King Marshall.
That's right. That's right.
The head Rothschild's going to bow down to Marshall when that time comes.
It's gonna be lovely. It's gonna be beautiful, man. It's coming into those times now.
All that gold and silver, we're going to get it back.
That's it. But they hoarding up the gold and the silver, but it said that they're gonna hoard it up for him that will be the poor.
Yeah, that's in Job. He shall vomit up the riches.
Yeah.
And the great men, and the rich men, and the chief captains, and the mighty men, and every bond man, and every free man hid themselves in the dens and in the rocks of the mountains.
What do you think that's talking about? That's talking about those shelters. Why do you think they spend so much money on setting those shelters up? And they're not setting a shelter up like you go to when you go to prison, they got a steel bench there, you know, and you laying on this goddamn steel bench. It's comfortable in there. You know, they make sure they have the best of everything in there. You know, the best food, the best of everything, the comforts, every comfort that you can have, they have it in there. Kitchens, bathrooms, you know, living room sets, televisions, computers, all of that. You know, they got all that in there because they plan on being in there for a while. You know, and if you're going to be in there for a while, you're not going to have something, you're just going to be laying on a rock, you know, till this thing blows over.
It says, the day after the show, they came up after they seen after everything was destroyed. Was it that one?
I believe so, yeah, you had it. But I mean, they was in the house. I think, if I'm not mistaken.
It says, and said to the mountains and rocks, fall on us, and hide us from the face of him that sitteth on the throne.
Because they know that Yahushua is coming back. So they're saying, hide us from him that sitteth on the throne. Because they know it's going to be a time where you're going to see this big, listen up, you white people, listen up real good. There's going to be a time where you're going to see a big black man coming out the sky to kick you in your ass. How about that?
Hey, well, Kennedy said that.
What happened?
Kennedy said that.
Find out God is black.
Yeah.
Hold on, Dick. Since you said that, back up. You said it was Isaiah 50, verse 13.
Yeah, Kennedy said it. Robin Williams said it.
Yep.
Look at that, man.
So they know, man. These devils know. They know the truth. How you going to teach a lie if you don't know the truth?
So you know what that proves? That scripture proves that the reason why they built them shelters is because they're building them shelters to hide from when Yahushua comes back.
Exactly. The elites know that the angels are black, that Yahushua is black, that the Mosai is black. They know, man.
That's why they painted all the pictures over.
Of course.
They cover the faces of the judges.
Yep, that's right.
The last to know is Jake.
And that's why, what's this guy? He went up to the museum. What was the guy's name?
Oh, yeah. Oh, the Renaissance
We
man.
asked him what color the Lord Jesus. He said white.
Yeah.
He didn't know any better, man.
Yeah.
Don't tell me he don't say they were black. And then he brought down.
The top elites know. They know. The top elites know. Because you can't teach a lie if you don't know the truth.
Now you realize it again.
This is Isaiah chapter 52, verse 13. Behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high.
Oh, remember what the serpent told Eve? The serpent told Eve, the Most High know in that day when you learn of wickedness, you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil, knowing both sides. Because we only knew the righteous side. But the serpent lied when he said, you shall not die. The serpent lied because when we took on the knowledge of wickedness, we did die. We fell from grace. We fell from our power. So the serpent lied. But he did tell the truth that we would be as gods knowing good and evil. And that serpent, that's Esau today. That's that same spirit coming back, man.
This is Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 3. Behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from me.
There you go. That's right. Because Daniel back then didn't know what those the majority of those prophecies meant, and the kings back then didn't understand what those prophecies meant. That's not. You know, these devils that searched out, you know, history, and they found out that those prophecies that were written about in the book of Daniel were pertaining to certain nations that rose up and fell. You know, Daniel didn't understand it back then, and the men that were back then didn't understand it. You know, it wasn't until later on in history that they started to understand what those scriptures meant and those mysteries.
And what backs you up is what Yahushua said. Many righteous men have desired to see what you see and have not seen it.
That's right. That's right.
So that's back then. But now we
Well, they
know.
are seeing it because they came back to the reincarnation.
Yeah. But back then they didn't see it. But we've seen it now.
Now,
So this
Everything
is
is reincarnated, okay?
yeah. It's a beautiful time
Everything
to
is
be.
reincarnated, faithful to the devil.
it's the same thing done over.
Yeah.
History repeats itself. Saying they have been.
And they don't want to argue on that. They'll say, they teach it. You don't want to argue on that. You would think on that, man.
They're lost, man. Those guys are lost.
While you sitting down eating the eagle with this guy, Marcus.
So barbecue eagle, barbecue eagle tips.
Oh yeah, because they got exactly what we need to take out. That's it. That's it. They had it so we couldn't read either. Go ahead, Doc.
This is Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 15. That which has been is now, and that which is to be has already been. And the Most High requireth that which is past.
That's it. You know, because everything.
In other words, that means payback is a bitch.
That's it.
Esau. That's what it means.
That's it.
Hey, and then even Esau, the elites.
Paybacks and female dog.
That's why you got the so-called specialists. They can forecast stock market crashes and everything. Because why? They go back into the history. They understand that history repeats itself. Their patterns. That's why they're able to predict certain things or whatever the case. Which, I mean, they're controlling everything, but it's the same pattern. It's just what happened back then.
Yeah, Eustace Smollett said that. He said the elites are not particularly smart. They just follow a formula, a pattern. He said his exact word was they're not prolific. He said they're not prolific.
And neither are we.
Yeah.
We're just following the pattern.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You know? It says of the apostles, they said that they were unlearned men.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, something Apostle Elatar always brings out, law of fives. Every society, they always follow the law of fives. He always brought that up.
Now, let me finish this up. This is back in Isaiah 52 and 14. As many as were studied at thee, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. So shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings shall shut their mouths at him. For that which had not been told them shall they see, and that which they had not heard shall they consider.
Yeah, because they thought that a white man gonna come out of it. They got a thing called Project Hoop means where they're gonna have. Well, I don't know if they're gonna actually do it, but they're gonna actually have a big image of a white sweet Jesus up in the heavens, man. And then you simple asses are gonna find, oh, that's Jesus coming back. And we're gonna see right through that shit, man.
That's the simple niggas that told me now that I don't care what color Christ is.
Oh, well, you know what? That's all right. They can teach this, man. Because they're gonna go down with the shit, you know? They're gonna go down with the shit, baby.
That was it.
It says,
Where you at?
Revelation 6, verse 16. It says, it says, foreigners and hiders from the face of him that sitteth on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb.
Right, because it said from the wrath of the Lamb. Why? Well, like I said earlier, the throne was Yahushua, that's the Most High, and the wrath of the Lamb is sitting on the right side. That's I got.
No, because Yahushua gonna be tearing up shit when he come back.
That's it.
The wrath of the Lamb mean Yahushua gonna be tearing up shit, man. He said, I will not meet thee as a man.
Right.
Isaiah 47 chapter.
That's right. And he said that the day of vengeance burns in my heart.
Burns in his heart.
Why? Because he's been sitting up there for 2 days, 2,000 years, meditating on what he's going to do to you devils when he comes back.
And the scoffers and scorners are 2/3 of Israel, which are his enemies. You got niggas talking about, well, we don't believe in Yahushua, we only believe in the Old Testament. Who is this Yahushua? Calling them names, penis, idol, and all. Oh man, I can't wait till Yahushua get you niggas, man.
Hey, but that's why Yahushua said 19 and 27. Those are my enemies.
And that synagogue of Satan, that's talking about wicked niggas in Israel, man.
Oh yeah.
That is the so-called Jews. That's down the 12. It's starting with wicked niggas in Israel first. They're the synagogue of Satan, man, like Sakari. Masharal, Yasharal, all them clowns, man. They're the synagogue of Satan, man. I'm be happy as hell when Yahushua start fucking you niggas up, man. I'm be ecstatic, man.
2017. The whole world gonna change, man. They're gonna get the shit. They told you that NBC back in 2007.
And the prophets were not liked.
What the world's gonna be like 10 years from now, 2017.
And I'm glad you niggas hate me. I'm glad you niggas hate us because the prophets were not liked. That's why Yahushua said, "Oh Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets." Why? Because they were your friend.
Guys are not prophets.
Right. They were hated, man. The prophets were hated.
Alizé is not a prophet, Zabak, and then Alizé kissing Zabak's ass, and he said that Zabak was a great man, and Zariak is a great. What makes him great? What makes him great? Huh? Do a video on what makes him great. But they don't have the truth. Because if they had the truth, they wouldn't be teaching us bullshit about some marketing piece of being, well, that's what Zariak, man. John 3:16 on embargo, man. And they wouldn't be following around some nigga named General Yohana.
That's right.
Understand about football. This is Israelite.
Because Zabak ain't great, man. That's why that guy, he's in New York for 2 months, then he just, back in New York. 2 months later, he's out of New York.
Zabak is great. His woman was cursing him out on how great is he? His own woman was cursing him out on
He was the one that was
the video, man.
He was the one that was cooking the fish sticks. Give me some more fish sticks.
He's on the video. Anybody who mess with me, they get that curses. Come on, man. You're a fucking joke.
Hey, that's a heavy point, man. And a lot of these clowns don't know that the prophets of the Lord were hated. Yahushua was hated, man.
He was hated.
Yahushua was Stephen. Why did they kill Stephen?
And when Yahushua was on the cross, you know how many Israelites were looking at the cross making fun of him? Yep. Hey, he saved others.
All them niggas, they're gonna get it, man.
That's why he said in Revelation 1, 7, verse 7.
Yep. Come back, you're gonna pay him with this.
That was a real deal, man, raw deal. You niggas showed your colors back then, and you showing them now.
That's right.
All right, you showing them now. Yahushua, like the brother said, hypothetically, if Yahushua was on earth, he'd be in the camp of GMS.
Oh, they called him a bum. They would say.
You gotta qualify that.
Yeah.
You qualify that.
Yeah,
you said it.
They gonna run with it anyway.
In other words, if Yahushua came on the scene, he ain't gonna ask, can I join GMS?
Yeah.
All right? He's not gonna say, can I
He'd be the head of GMS. He'd be the head.
He'll be over GMS. He'll be
He'd be the head of GMS. And we wouldn't have a problem with it.
That's it.
And I'd bow down to him and worship him.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
What's wrong with that?
In other words, he would be teaching the same thing we be doing, and y'all be coming up and hating on him, wanting to threaten and kill him just like y'all do us, man. Because that's what y'all be
Those
doing.
are the same guys that were doing it, man. You acting like they're different guys.
Nah, they the same niggas. But no, they'll try to say they ain't.
It's the same niggas.
They'll try to say they ain't them niggas.
Against us, because what proves that? What proves that? You ask me 10 channels. These niggas that are coming up against us are the same niggas that were coming up against your house shot.
And that hate.
And if you don't believe me, go to
and them niggas, they got hate for us. No. You ain't got as much hate as we got for you. And when the time comes, we gonna show it to you.
It goes deeper though.
Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua.
Really, y'all hate Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Y'all talk shit about
doing his will.
Exactly. Y'all take it out on us.
But you fight
That's right.
Because you cut like a two-edged sword.
That's it.
And that's why I tell you, you ain't got to worry about us. You got to worry about Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Okay? Because they're going to fuck you up way worse than anybody else could, man. You really don't got a problem with us, but we're the closest thing to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua that you can get at, man.
We're the ambassadors
We're the
of Yahweh.
mouthpiece, man. Like the Lord said, I healed them down by the mouth of my prophets, man. The prophets supposed to come out here with these scriptures and go into prophecies and rebuke and exhort.
And be hated.
And be hated. Yahushua said that know that the world hated me first. And that's why Yahushua spoke of that cup. A lot of you guys left because you didn't want to drink of that cup.
That cup too.
Okay? Yahushua made it plain. He said, look, man, you're going to have to bear your cross if you want to be one of my disciples, man. You're going to have to forsake your own life. A lot of you guys ain't willing to forsake your own life, man.
In season, out of season. Are you out there today, Baloo?
Well,
or are you on a common board talking shit?
That's why, again, in Luke, Yahushua said...
My toes are freezing right about now. Hey, I got to deal with it.
Hey, that's Romans the 12th chapter, man. Romans 12:1. Present yourself as a living sacrifice. How the hell you gonna present yourself as a sacrifice if you don't come out there on the highways and the byways, man?
Man, I feel like shit, man. I feel like shit, but I feel good.
But it's a beautiful thing, man. And it could be worthy to be out here suffering for the word, for the name of Yahushua. When they beat the disciples, man, they praise the Lord, man. Okay? Who said it's supposed to be easy, man? You gotta go through all type of hell just to get out here, man. I was fucking shoveling snow for a couple hours earlier. You know, but that's part of it, man. That's fucking part of it.
That's right.
You know? You niggas want to be at home, cuddling up, drinking some goddamn hot chocolate with your females, man.
Romans 8:35. Shall tribulation separate us from the love of Yahushua?
That's right, man.
Romans 8:35. Shall tribulation separate us from
and
the
that's
love?
why Paul said, nay, that's what makes us more than conquerors.
Man, we're conquerors, yeah. Because this is what we conquer. And the main person we conquer is ourselves. Because we're our own worst enemy.
Our own worst enemy.
The Apostle Paul said, I know that within my flesh dwelleth no good things. So we're conquering this flesh.
That's right. And that's what Yahushua said in Revelation, the 2nd chapter, man. To he that overcomes.
And you got to overcome yourself. You're your own worst enemy. That's true.
He said you got to endure it to the end.
Endure what? The hell.
Hardness.
No? Endure hardness is a good soldier.
Man like us daily.
Present yourself a living sacrifice.
Living sacrifice.
Set you a call for.
Baruch, seek the Lord 10 times more.
Service. Yeah.
Seek
So
the Lord.
Baloo, let's go down the line. Is Baloo a man of the Lord?
Hell no.
Why y'all say that?
Because he's a scumbag.
He's a slacker. He's a sluggard. The sluggard will not plow by reading of the code.
He's not sacrificing himself.
Hey, that scripture.
Hey, we plowing, baby. We plowing, man. And since you brought that scripture up, since you quoted that, give me Luke. This is you, Luke. Give me Luke. You know that one, man. Luke 9:62.
That's right. That's right.
Luke chapter 9. This for you, Baloo. Luke 9:62. For you, Baloo. And Yahushua said unto him, no man, having put his hand to the plow and looking back, is fit for the kingdom of the Most High.
So you ain't fit for the kingdom.
You ain't fit, nigga.
And that includes Steve Murdoch. You know what you fit for? Mama fried chicken.
Or Medea. You can be in the next Medea movie.
In Jeremiah 48:10 says, curse ye he that doeth the work of the Lord deceitfully. And then when you look up that word deceitfully and really go into it, it means sparingly. Lazy.
Sparingly, yeah.
You know, sparingly, like somebody that's lazy. When you look up that word, so when you being deceitful, you act like you're doing the work, but really you're not. You out there sometimes, you might put one video of you being out there, but you ain't out there like that, man.
He'll be out there for an hour.
Yeah.
He'll be out there for 10 minutes. And he'll put the video on and he'll say part 10. What the hell is that, man?
Read 1 Timothy 2:4. All men can be saved.
Yeah, you're right.
All
You're right. And you're right. Can I shake your hand? You're right on that. What all men? All Israelite men.
Israelite.
All Israelite men.
You added that in there.
Huh?
You added that in there.
Wait a minute, I got it.
The Messiah said
Now,
that.
if you want to stick around, you can get edified.
Oh, you want to get edified? What's his name?
He doesn't know.
Y'all come back. Y'all come back again. There's only one God. One faith. You gotta know his name.
Who is the Lord?
Try to come back up in there.
Not too hot for
Not too hot.
Well, the scriptures tell you about your heart. It said the heart is wicked above all things. Yeah, well, in the Bible, your heart. It said lean not to your own understanding. No, every man's heart. No problem. Let the yay be yay and nay be nay, bro. Get so.
No, his son, the world goes he's also a black man.
Who does the Lord, when the Lord came to
This morning.
Matthew chapter 10, verse 5. It says, and this is in the red writing, so you know that these are the words of the Lord. Matthew 10 and 5. These 12 the Lord sent forth and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not.
Remember, that's a command.
But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
And they did, and they turned it, they rejected it.
No, they did not. No, they did not. No, they did
That's
not.
not
No,
true.
they did not.
It's not
The
true.
ones that rejected him is the ones of his town, of his own town. There wasn't no all Israel. He didn't encounter all of Israel, man.
John 13.
That's why I said the prophet without
John 13 and 1.
He says,
That's why he
Have
said
to love his own.
Khan,
John 13 and 1.
it's just saying recorded. Huh? Yes, it is. It's not recording, no? Yes, it is, bro.
that was, we got some, we got, hold on.
Oh, it moved over there.
Yeah, because you gotta have it outside. But if you put it here, it's hard to connect the what you call it.
Okay.
You can see it.
No, I didn't
See, you have to flip it.
Okay. Spiritually flipped around. Okay. So like it.
That's why the apostle.
My bad.
You were just making sure.
A workman is not to be ashamed, to be ashamed, rightfully divided the word of truth.
Hey, the apostle told you to stay here and get edified.
Got it.
We edified. We still got to tell you who you are. We still got to let you know your future judgment. Okay, like Jeremiah, the Lord said, I set thee up as a prophet.
Hey, what's his background though?
What's your background?
What's your background? Irish?
Straight to the point.
What's your background? Irish?
No idea. I don't know. I might be able to go back 400 years.
How far would you go back to? Ireland, Scotland, to the early settlers. What do you ancestry?
The Germans. My ancestors were persecuted by the Roman Catholic Church.
Okay.
They were burning the stake.
But now,
And so do I go back and judge them for doing that?
it depends, because you got the people that's in Germany today calling themselves Germans and not the right people that was there hundreds of years ago. Because the original Germans, when you go into history, they were so-called black people. Okay, the Dutch. I got answers on my mind. It's Dutch. Okay? It's darker than this brother, man. Alright? So the original people, when you go into these certain icons and books, and you see the relics of the people at that time, they were so-called black people who were eventually eradicated and moved out of there systematically after the Dark Ages into the Renaissance era. Are you familiar with the Renaissance era? So it depends on what part you go back to. If you go back to that Renaissance era, or if you go, it's not necessarily a colored thing, but I don't know which part of the Germans you go back to. You got the original Germans there with Jacob.
All I know is at some point my ancestors came over on a boat because they were being persecuted for their religion by the Catholic. And I believe that races were created in our battle.
Well, no, that's not true. No.
And
Why would the Heavenly Father if He created all people, right?
There you go.
Why would He separate them into categories? Because and only choose one people to be His people.
Well, they were all together. They were all together at the Tower of Babel.
Right.
What happened? The Lord came down and separated.
Right.
Why?
Right.
Well,
I'm going to give you
All
down.
the nations,
if God is cursing me, I will take it. That's it. That's the end of the story. But you can't curse me.
If your line goes back, well, we can't curse you. We can't curse you. We can curse you. Scripture tell you that, not say it. The Most High set up.
Yeah.
The Most High said we're going to judge angels, man.
That's right. 1 Corinthians 6 and 2.
After
No, now.
the saints will be judged.
You know the story of Ananias and Sapphira.
That's right.
I'm not arguing.
That's the thing, see?
It's getting too hot. It's getting too hot. You feeling that heat? We're not feeling that heat.
And if you can't stand the
You
heat,
admitted that you're not versed in the Bible. You admitted that you're not versed in the Bible. You said you're not versed in the Bible. All right, what do you think should happen? Okay, let me ask you something else. You see what's going on in the world, right? You see what's going on in the action. Okay, well, whose land is this for? It's God's land.
The Indians were here.
Exactly. You're playing games.
You're one of the Lord's tribes of Israel, the tribe of Gad.
But he was here.
They were here. There was
Nobody else here. I didn't have it. You got to be studying. Studying.
You know the history.
You got to study. So you're not learning. The
Study to
said
show
even a
thyself
fool,
approved.
when he keeps his mouth shut, it's considered wise. So you got to learn how to listen because you can't study. I said even if I said what the scripture say, man.
Hey, that was I'll be sure rescue.
Now he might be.
You might be.
You know? But he, well, you in a whole piece of Israelites. But you got Israelites that look just like that.
Gun, you gotta
But one thing, he's not straightforward. You know?
Nah, he's devilish, man.
He's
Like Alice said.
Yeah, I was just going. Oh, man. Yeah, like Frank Drakman. Oh, shit. The asshole of the year.
That's a slick devil, man.
Yeah, Frank Drakman.
He did a video, right? I had to click on the shit. He had 34, he put it up like a week ago, it has like 34,000 views on it. You know what he did? I think he put Trump supporter threatened to Israelites or something. And you wouldn't like
Shock value.
like talking, one drunk Edomite talking shit. You know?
Clickbait. They call it clickbait. Clickbait. Niggas know about clickbait because he got to make that money.
He told me about it. He said, see, we win this. I'll do a video where I kind of edify. There ain't no real fancy, you know. And they'll say, see, man, you get more views.
Yep.
That's not controversy. He said, controversy. Give a lot of views.
Oh, well, that's the scripture. The words of the wise are heard in quiet more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools. Fucking Frank Drakman.
And what if you wrote on this video, right? You put down, Edomite bows down to the apostles' feet and licked them. Clickbait. Yep. We know about clickbait, nigga. You ain't so smart.
Ross Escape Slut video.
That went viral.
That took a whole life of its own.
That was a new two-part video. The first part was with the Ross Escape Slut, and the second part, I went deep into the mark of the beast, and nobody even looked at that one. So that the Most High sent y'all niggas up the
Hey, because what that stopped them, right, from getting to the crux of the information.
Well, like the scripture said, the words of the wise are heard in quiet, more than the cry of him that ruleth among fools.
Because it's about the elect.
Real men of wisdom is going to be a small. It's always going to be a small number.
Sanctuary.
Being wise don't mean you're popular, man.
Right.
Yeah, no, you got the unity camps. That ain't no scriptures, man.
Yeah.
It says how, you don't cut your unity camps. How can two walk together except to be agreed, man?
And a real wise man, he don't seek for popularity anyway. A real wise man, like Yoda was telling Luke, and a Jedi does not seek for popularity. A Jedi, he was breaking it down. So a real wise man, he likes to be in the shine. He likes to be, look at them, you don't see the Most High. And what you don't see is greater than what you do see.
Yeah, well, you said, good point. You said
Yeah, things we just seen at temple.
they're mad as hell that they found out about the Rothschild. They're mad. We see a guy like Clinton, he likes to be in the limelight. You know?
Because he's a small guy.
Trump loves to be in the limelight, man. But he's a little man.
And the Wizard of Oz. The reason why the Wizard of Oz had so much power because he was behind that curtain. And when Toto, when the dog pulled back the curtain, then he lost all his power. He was no wizard anymore.
His secret were exposed.
It's good to be behind the scenes, to be, you know.
It's like Bruce Lee, teacher in the End of the Dragon, in the movie. It was like telling him how to defeat his enemies.
The breakdown illusion. Right there. Well, that wasn't in the original. They put that in here after. He broke all the barriers. That wasn't in the original, you know. He wanted it in there, but they didn't want, you know, the so-called Jews didn't want that in there, you know.
Hey, Yahweh Shai wasn't trying
By the way, Bruce Lee's to Israel.
That's right.
On that movie that they're coming out with, on Bruce Lee, the white boy, the actual guy was a Jake. That was a Jake.
They brought around that movie with the dragon.
Exactly. But you know how the fucking devil operates, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, they
And
brought
there was no thing with this guy grew up by people. He was already living in fucking over there in San Francisco, man, Chinatown, man. You know? And the fight wasn't no fantastic fight, man. Because after that, that's when Lee started to get good because he was using that traditional shit. And he said that shit, they were, you know, he said too much traditional bullshit, man. He had to go to boxing, kickboxing, and all that stuff, man.
And I wanted to bring the point out too about that unity camp. Yahweh Shai, when he came here on the earth, he wasn't trying to work out his differences with the other Pharisees, the other Israelite groups, you know. He only was concerned about the disciples, the ones that the Lord gave to him.
Just like what you're concerned about the elect.
That's it, man.
And the thing about it too, they were saying, you know, how can you be the son of the Most High? You were born in Nazareth. He wasn't born in Nazareth. But he could have sat down and explained to, listen, guys, listen, brothers. You know, I was born in Bethlehem.
Right, but he didn't want him to know.
Exactly.
He didn't want him to know. They were Israelites.
Yeah, that's right.
Because he did not want them to know.
And well, the disciples asked Yahweh Shai, why are you speaking to the people in parables?
Right.
So I got a question for you, Alizé. You got on the brother in Mississippi out there, son, that he didn't keep the Hanukkah, all right? Now you don't know what he kept or didn't keep, but I'm gonna ask you a question. Since you're the great high priest, was there other high days outside of the high days that we teach? Huh? That you supposed to keep? Make a video on that.
Frank Jackman.
That's right.
You don't know, man. All you know is what we taught you, man.
That's right.
I'm grateful.
And he couldn't even
That's
get
why
that
you
right.
still can't, and that's why you still can't break down Second Ezra's, the 11th chapter and the 12th chapter, man.
That's right.
And your boy, S-Dub, he tried to break it down, and I questioned him, well, what does this mean? What does that mean? They didn't want to deal with it. They still got that video up. You don't know because we didn't teach it to you, man.
Right.
Just like Nate. Nate don't know because he wasn't taught back then.
That's why he touches on it, man.
He plays around, he tap dances around. Like that.
Because he's a tap dance king.
Daniel's 11th chapter wasn't really going into back then. You know? And that's why Nate don't really teach. He don't really go into
None of them guys are going to Daniel 11th chapter, Second Ezra 11th chapter, Second Ezra 12th chapter. You know? They can't even break down Daniel 11th chapter. They can't even break down Daniel 8th chapter.
And the scriptures say the joy of the hypocrite is but for a moment.
And that's why they're teaching that the mark of the beast is an embargo on Christianity. And then 2017, man, things are going to happen.
Come. This is the book of John 17 and 6. I have manifested thy name unto the men which thou gavest me out of the world. Thine they were, and thou gavest them me.
hear that, Nate?
And they have kept thy word. There's a lot of you guys that didn't keep the word of the Lord. A lot of y'all popping back on the scene
The apostles went into earlier about putting your hand to the plow and looking back. A lot of you same guys that coming back trying to do this unity crap, you disappeared on the scene, man. You stopped going out for a period, man. Going into the year 2000, 2001, 3, 4, 5, you know? Now you popping back as if you never left.
The only reason they're doing
They
it,
still don't come out, man. They come out when it's nice. You ain't gonna see a lot of them guys until like 2-3 months later, man. Late March or April.
the only reason
Rain, they ain't coming out.
yeah, the only reason they're doing it is for money.
Yeah. and to be seen and to be, you know, be seen of
Seen of
men.
men, yeah.
It says, now they...
It's hard to look good in the cold, baby.
See, and it's funny because when you go back to One West, all the camps went out back then.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they don't go out, because they were under authority of other religions. They registered. So they figured they call themselves the authority, all right? So they'll make their own Romans 10, and 2. You start with one.
The book of Romans, chapter 10, verse 1. It says, Brethren, my heart's desire and prayer to the Most High for Israel is that they might be saved.
Gotta cut vocab, no class alone, safe to the devil. That's what James White, the Edomite. Go ahead.
For I bear them record that they have a zeal of the Most High, but not according to knowledge.
Go ahead.
For they being ignorant of the Most High's righteousness and going about to establish their own
What
righteousness.
does it mean going about to establish their own righteousness? We're not going to take That's why they ain't going to come up with us. Ain't none of you guys going to come up with us. But they will have people out here on the highways and the byways, man. So now they can take the winters off, you know? And do and have some. Where did that scripture have some, man?
Have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of the Most High. Have not submitted themselves.
So you got it. Close. Yahweh look. Well, at least it's close. Close to the name.
Have not submitted themselves unto the righteousness of the Most High.